Rudyard Kipling, a Nobel laureate, 1865 to 1936. Joseph Rudyard Kipling was born on 30th December 1865 in Mumbai, India, which inspired much of his work. Kipling's father, John Lockwood Kipling, was an artist and scholar who had considerable influence on his son's work, became curator of the Lahore Museum, and is described presiding over this wonder house in the first chapter of Kim, Rudyard's most famous novel. Much of his childhood was unhappy. Kipling was taken to England by his parents at the age of 6 and was left for 5 years at a foster home at Southsea, the horrors of which he described in the story Baba Black Sheep, 1888. He then went on to the United Services College at Westward Ho, North Devon, a new, inexpensive and inferior boarding school. It haunted Kipling for the rest of his life, but always as the glorious place celebrated in Stocky and Company 1899 and related stories, an unruly paradise in which the highest goals of English education are met amid a tumult of teasing, bullying and beating. The Stocky saga is one of Kipling's great imaginative achievements. Readers repelled by a stream of brutality, even of cruelty, in his writings should remember the sensitive and short-sighted boy who was brought to terms with the ethos of this deplorable establishment through the demands of self-preservation. In Recessional 1897 and similar pieces in which Kipling addressed himself to his fellow countrymen in times of crisis, the effect is rhetorical rather than imaginative. Kipling returned to India in 1882 and worked for 7 years as a journalist. All the while, he had remained keenly observant of the thronging spectacle of native India, which had engaged his interest and affection from earliest childhood. He was quickly filling the journals he worked for with prose sketches and light verse. He published the verse collection Departmental Ditties in 1886, the short story collection Plain Tales from the Hills in 1888, and between 1887 and 1889 he brought out 6 papers covered volumes of short stories. Among the latter were Soldiers 3, The Phantom Rickshaw, and Wee Willie Winkie. When Kipling returned to England in 1889, his reputation had preceded him, and within a year he was acclaimed as one of the most brilliant prose writers of his time. His fame was redoubled upon the publication in 1892 of the verse collection Barrack Room Ballads, which contained such popular poems as Mandale, Gangadin, and Deni Diva. Not since the English poet Lord Byron had such a reputation been achieved so rapidly. Besides numerous short story collections and poetry collections such as The Seven Seas 1896, Kipling published his best known novels in the 1890s and immediately thereafter. His novel The Light That Failed 1890 is the story of a painter going blind and spurned by the woman he loves. Captain's Courageous 1897, in spite of its sense of adventure, is burdened by excessive descriptive writing. Kim 1901, about an Irish orphan in India, is a classic. The Jungle Book 1894 and the Second Jungle Book 1895 are stylistically superb collections of stories. These books give further proof that Kipling excelled at telling a story but was inconsistent in producing balanced, cohesive novels. Sussex was the background of much of his later writing, especially A Puck of Puck's Hill 1906 and Rewards and Fairies 1910, 2 volumes that, although devoted to simple dramatic presentations of English history, embodied some of his deepest intuitions. Kipling's poems and stories were extraordinarily popular in the late 19th and early 20th century, but after World War I, his reputation as a serious writer suffered through his being widely viewed as a jingoistic imperialist. Kipling, it should be noted, wrote much and successfully for children, for the very young in Just So Stories 1902 and for others in The Jungle Book and its sequel and in Puck of Puck's Hill and Rewards and Fairies. Of his miscellaneous works, the more notable are a number of early travel sketches collected in two volumes in From Sea to Sea 1899 and The Unfinished Something of Myself posthumously published in 1941. This English journalist, short story writer, poet and novelist had died on 18 January 1936 in United Kingdom. In South Africa, where he spent much time, he was given a house by Cecil Rhodes, the diamond magnate and South African statesman. In 1907, he received the Nobel Prize for Literature, the first Englishman to be so honored. The Nobel Prize in Literature 1907 was awarded to Rudyard Kipling in consideration of the power of observation, originality of imagination, variety of ideas, and remarkable talent for narration, which characterized the creation of this world-famous author. Thank you.